All right, so we're gonna start by using a number 2 Phillips head screwdriver, removing the seat. Put this off to the side. And then we're gonna remove the battery carrier tray. Just get this out of the way to access the battery terminals. This is a 1/2" socket for these ones. All right, after those are removed, you're gonna grab the ECM. There's these 2 little tabs right here. You're gonna just push that over here to the side. And then you're gonna remove some of these connectors to access the battery tray. That one slides forward, comes out of the way. And then this guy slides forward and comes out of the way as well. And then we can just remove these plugs as well. Kind of get those out of the way. And then this tray should slide forward and up, and that'll allow access to get to the battery. And once we have access to the battery, you're just going to remove the positive and negative terminals. And once those are removed, just go ahead and move them off to the side so they don't make contact with the battery. And then you're ready to install the harness. Next, we're going to be removing the 2 tank fastener bolts. It's 1/2" as well. Once those are out of the way, you're going to grab this vent hose and just pop it off here. Just kind of work it back and forth. That'll come off. And then we already previously unplugged this connector from the battery tray. Then lastly, you have a vent hose that runs down the frame. That could be zip tied on some models, but in our case, it's already free. And then now the rear tank is ready to lift up, and we'll get working on the front tank bolts. So next up, we're going to remove the fuel valve from the tank. You're just going to slide up on this silver piece and pull down, and that will come out. You might get a little gas on your hand. And then we're going to be working on the front tank bolts, which is a 1/2" on each side. Got that one removed, and I'll go over to the other side and do the same thing. All right, next step is removing the gas tank. So next up is going to be removing this electrical panel to feed the new harness behind here. So you're going to remove this line out of the way, get that out of the way, and then these are all on little push tabs, so you just kind of pry it up on both sides. And this whole thing will come off and out of the way. So next up is going to be removing the 2 T27s that we have here. And then this wind deflector will come off. And then there's another mounting bolt underneath the speaker housing that we'll need to remove. So just pop this guy off. Just pops off like that. And then underneath the speaker cover, there's a T30 that will need to be removed. Okay, once that's removed, we'll go over to the other side and do the same thing. Now that these fasteners are removed, we'll now be working on the front of the fairing. All right, so next up is removing the windshield. And then set that aside. And then you're going to go ahead and snap off the backing support of the windshield, which should just pull out towards you. Just like that. And then next up are 3/16 Allens for the blinker pods. There's one on each side of the fairing. Okay, and then once that's removed, the fairing should be able to pop off. And you'll just go ahead and unclip your turn signal pod wires. Just like that. All right, now it's time to remove the headlight. You're going to remove these two accessory clips. Just the little pry tool, get those out of the way. Once those are out of the way, you can remove the 4 3/16 Allen screws that hold the headlight together. All right, and the headlight will drop down. And then it's just this one M8 connector for the headlight. And then you have your 2 bullet signal connectors over here. And then it's free to go. All right, now we're going to be going over the harness that is included with the purchase of the headlight. So we're going to unravel it here. Comes with 2 relays your headlight plug in and plug out, and these will plug out to weatherproof Deutsch connectors. And then this will run down the frame to an inline fuse connected right to the battery. And that's your basic harness. So next up, we're going to remove the fuse cover and the fuse. And we're going to run the provided zip tie through the top tab. And cinch that down. And we're going to use this as a guide to feed the harness down the right side of the frame. So the harness is going to pop out where we just fed it through. You're going to pull it towards you, cut the zip tie off, reinstall your fuse, and pop your cover back on. And then you're going to run the harness on the right side of this electrical panel. Just like so. Then you're going to get your electrical panel cover and snap it back on. And these wires will feed back up under this connector tab. And then we're ready for the battery. So next we're going to be installing this fuse harness. We're just going to tuck the fuse cover down. And then we're going to grab our battery terminals and feed them back onto the battery. And then we're going to run our fuse terminals above the battery terminals. Feed that through. Okay, the ground. Okay. Once you have the battery terminals nice and tight, go ahead and grab your battery tray. Feed that back over. And this guy's going to slide forward and then back. And then we're going to grab this connector. Okay, this will plug right back into here. And your ECM is going to snap back onto here, just like that. And then we'll grab our 2 1/2-inch bolts and secure the battery tray. Once that's complete, we'll work over to the gas tank. All right, next up, we're going to be reinstalling the fuel tank. Just going to slide that over. We're going to grab our 1/2-inch bolts, start threading those in the back. Then we're going to take the vent tube, feed it right back where we pulled it out of. And then this fuel connector is going to go right to this gray plug right here. And then that other vent line is going to go right back in here. That's it for the fuel connections. Now we'll move to the front 1/2-inch bolts in the front tank. And same thing on this side. Next up will be the fuel valve on the opposing side. All right, next step will be installing the fuel valve back into the tank. You lift up on this collar and push up. It's all good. Now we're going to tuck the remaining bit of the harness back into the frame. And we're going to grab our new lead from the harness and plug it into the original plug. And then we're going to grab our 2 Deutsch connectors and feed those into the new headlight. And then we're going to feed the headlight into the mounting holes, just like that. And then we'll take our 4 provided stainless steel hardware bolts. All right,